Hey everybody, it's Lara. Welcome back to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch and the crazy whatever I do with it. um, Obviously no stitch with me happened because I was sick all week, so I apologize for the nasal congestion. It is what it is. The whole video is going to be like that because last week after I filmed, did I even stitch that? I don't even think I stitched that day. And then the next morning I woke up and it was I'm a day late recording because my husband was home yesterday and I had a 2-hour dentist appointment. Nothing crazy, just a new patient, and they do all the things to get you in. It was really nice. I enjoy the dentist and having my teeth cleaned. I'm a weird one. So big thank you again to anybody who may have been watching last week and went and checked out my Etsy shop for the project bags. Everything that is in our inventory, in the inventory, is up on the shop now. I don't even know if I feel like grabbing bags today, to be honest. If you are interested, the link's down below. I don't want to talk too much about business. But yeah, huge thank you, especially to, I think at least one of you that watches the channel left a review after you received your bags. It was a very sweet review, and I really appreciate that because as small as the shop is, that really does help. Yeah, it does help. So, I have a couple of acquisitions to show you that one of them I'm really excited about because I've been looking for it for 5 years. I'm still damp. It's been a late day. I have to pick up my kiddo and I have to leave for the bus in about 40 minutes. So we'll see if hopefully I can get everything recorded before I go do that. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about before we get into the stitching? Probably, but now I don't remember. Did I take notes? I don't think I even took notes. Like I said, it was just a really bad cold. It is in my lungs a little bit. So I haven't really felt, yeah, I have not felt very good. Sorry, coughing fit. Had to cut it out. I did have a few suggestions come in after the video last week for the beaver. And my lack of threads. I thought there was some great suggestions. I think most of them suggested using the variegated for the tree bark, simply because there is a pattern in that beaver tail, which I do kind of agree with. There was an argument for putting it in the tail because that's the focal piece, which is also a really great point. And then I thought, I really could just get another skein of that floss and make sure to keep one for the tail and one for the trees in case there's differences, obviously, between the dialots. I also had a suggestion of blending the DMC conversion one thread with the variegated. I'm not sure I want to do that one simply because I don't want to dampen down. It is a pretty subtly variegated thread, so I don't want to dampen it down too much. So honestly, it'll probably be one of those, whatever my heart says is the right thing to do when I get there is what will happen. So I do really appreciate the suggestions because it did get the cogs going as far as thinking about that. So okay, without further ado, let us move on to the stitching. I am going to go ahead and go straight from, I ended the clips with just showing you my board and what I've noted down for that. I'm going to move right into the Monopoly round right after that clip. So, and then I'll come back and we'll do the wrap up with what I'm going to be stitching as far as Monopoly goes for the next week. I am still going to, hopefully it wasn't too disappointing last week with the shift to just 1 or 2 pieces, but that really did work for me this past week. Yes, I was sick, but I really think that because I think I got all that stitching done by like Friday because that's the only thing I felt like I could do was just sit and stitch. But had I not been able to do that and really had only gotten like 1 or 2 focus pieces, and that would have been fine too. And that way I can still concentrate on the work that I need to get done around the house as well. So I will talk a little bit about life at the end. Maybe. I still want to do that stitch with me, but I don't know when I'm going to have time to do it, to be honest. And part of me doesn't really want to do a stitch with me sounding like this, because some people I think are a little annoyed by the nasal sounding, and I don't necessarily want to talk when I sound like this. Plus I'm still kind of short of breath a little bit, so I don't know how much talking I want to do. What's under here? Just more of that. Okay, I'm good. All right, so on to the stitching and then Monopoly, and then we'll get into the rest. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, first up is Wreath Gnome. This is from their series. It's from Etsy. ForStitchLove.com is their website. But yeah, there's like 10, I think, in the series that I've been working on. And this guy has... And yeah, I am full-blown spring cold, as you can hear, I'm sure. He only has 1,902 stitches in him, plus back stitching, so he is slated to get about a third of those done in this particular round of Monopoly. Try not to drop my tablet. And I am stitching this on this lilac fabric. It's either 16 or 18 count. I can't remember now. Got a little off center because I'm going to stitch up on the fabric into his hat. And I had somebody ask me in a comment from the last week's video about my finger, and there it is. I keep forgetting to talk about it because it doesn't hurt me like every 5 seconds. So I just kept forgetting about updating everybody. But you can see there is definitely some scar tissue really starting to form. But it's healed. I'm super happy with how well it's healed. So, but yeah, you can see I've got a little, I got a little divot in it. It's hacked off a decent chunk. So, but yeah, it's sensitive to touch. In the middle, it's numb, but in the surrounding tissue, it's still pretty sensitive. So, anyways, all right. I know the heart is gonna get stitched in. And then we'll kind of see where I get to from there. Okay, here we go. 489 stitches later. We are now at 25.71% done on the cross stitching. And let's see. Yeah, this is almost the bottom of his hat. And there's like, what, two rows more of other stitching to do, and then that's the bottom of his hat. It's a very tall hat. So really happy with how far that got with the almost 500 stitches in. So I think that's all I have to say on that one. So Underwater World is next. I'll get that in the frame and give you a peek at where that's going to be starting from. Next up is Underwater World here. This is a kit from China. It's a printed piece. And so far, it's pretty much filled in down to the waves here. I keep thinking these are mountains. They're waves. And so it is kind of hard to tell where I've stitched a little bit. It's not quite as bad when it's this close, but I'm going to work on filling this color in, which does kind of scatter down in here. You can't see through the camera. Down in here a little bit. And then I will probably start filling in these orcas. So I might, yeah, it's probably only going to be like down here that it gets filled in after I get this color done. So, all right, I'll show you where we're at here after 470 stitches. Alrighty, 491 stitches later. I did get my little blue circles filled in, and I stopped here because I ran out of thread and wanted to fill this part in. And then I filled in a little bit of this the slate yellow here is this brown color. So this project is like way bigger than what I think every time I pull it out. I mean, 500 stitches was not that big of an area, and there's still quite a bit of project to go. So I've not done much today. I feel like crap. So it's gonna be a stitching day, I think. But I think I'm gonna go take some more medicine and load up the next project. And up next we have Birth of a Star. Sorry for the reflection here. It's the nature, I think, of these dark pieces. She is artwork by Rachel Anderson, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the max color version. And I'm stitching her on this 28 count linen of some sort, 1/1 full cross. I have a total of 1,795 out of 240,000, so 0.75%. And that's what you can see so far. There's a tiny little corner done. I'm gonna do 100 stitches. Oh, she's supposed to get 100 stitches in her. I may tuck these in. I don't know yet. But I was thinking of coming in and working on her hand a little bit more. So probably, depending on, I mean, it's max color, so it's pretty confetti heavy, so you probably won't be able to see a huge amount of difference, but I will see you in 100 or so stitches. Okay, I ended up with 198 stitches, simply because the last thread that I used ended up going way over here, so I just worked it. But I did get almost a whole finger filled in, and some more smattering through here, and then yeah, I got a little bit filled in here, and then that color came up in there. So I am at a whopping 1,993 stitches now for 0.83%. So not even 1% yet. But this one's going to be a slow mover because of the Monopoly piece that she is. It's either 1, 2, or 300, depending on what gets rolled when I land on it, that goes into her. So I think what I'll do is I'll just keep working on filling the foreground in, kind of like how I did this today. And then eventually she'll get swapped in for, I'll fiddle with stuff, and then I'll start doing chunks of background. But until then, I think I'm going to have fun filling her in. So I only have one more Monopoly piece, and it's only Friday. So I wasn't really planning on ill stitching, but yeah, here we are. I'll just get a lot of my my focus pieces worked on, which is not a bad thing. So Celestial Gathering is, I hope you cannot hear my stepson hollering. Celestial Gathering is next, so I'll get loaded up and we'll be back in a second. Okay, last Monopoly piece here is a kit from China. Celestial Gathering. It has 27 colors, and it is done with this rayon floss, so I'm going to have to get my thread wax out because this stuff is a pain in the butt to work with. That's where the starting point is, and I'm adding at least 290 stitches to this. It is on 14 count Navy Ada, and the colors in it are really pretty, but it's 1/2, no 2/1 full cross, good lord. And this is the first page, so I'm going to be working my way up towards the upper left-hand corner, wherever that is. So yeah, I'll see you in whatever I get after 290. And finished up with 333 stitches. And I whoopsed and took my thing out of the frame before I was actually did my recording. But I have this entire little section here filled in now.
And that was the first time I'd had it out since I started it in Mania, like, what, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. So it was nice to actually get this out and work on it and get some stitches in. So this is starting in on the sun's face already. So this will, of course, be put away until it gets landed on. And that concludes Monopoly stitching. I'm going to go ahead and start in my focus pieces. I've got a couple hours tonight I might stitch. And then I'll swap it out for whatever's after that. First up is Light Weaver. So let me pull that up on the tablet and show you what the whole thing's going to look like. And then I've already got it loaded up in the frame. So this is Lightweaver. I have the supersized Max Cutler version. This is from Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is, she goes by Raven Phelan, but she's in Haid as Michelle Lee Phelan, which I think is her given name. And yeah, there's 230 something colors in this. It's a lot of yellows. And I mean, it is quite the rainbow and the horns in his face and stuff. But I am stitching this on 28 count even weave that I got off of AliExpress, and that is pretty much all of what I've stitched so far. There are how many stitches do I have so far? I have 13,826 so far out of 705,294. It is very, very big. It is at 1.96%. And this is a focus piece, so I don't have a given number of stitches that I'm aiming for. I'm just going to put whatever I can for the rest of the evening. I don't know. That's really close to the edge of the frame. I was gonna say maybe start filling in the rest of this blue down here, and then maybe come across. I don't know, because it's not real. Working in a diagonal kind of works, but it brings out a lot here. So going through the diagonal really takes a long time if I'm finishing off threads. So I don't know. I'm gonna stitch in like 30 seconds, but I still don't really know how I want to approach it. So, and we'll just pull back, and then I don't know if you'll be able to tell where I'm stitched out or not, but we will see. Okay, I got 520 stitches in last night, and I was tempted to finish this section because it's like mostly one color, but I'm gonna switch projects. I'm really happy with. I got almost all that done. There is a few smattering stitches up here from where I had extra thread, but yeah, I'm pretty excited that it's almost done. And then I'll move back up here, and yeah, I may just, I don't know. I'm not going to predict what I'm going to do with this because I still really don't know. So on to my next focus piece. Next up here is Veil Nebula. This is a supersized Max Color piece from Heaven and Earth Designs. This is an asset image. And I am just doing page by page at this point. Started in the upper left-hand corner. I have a total of... Sorry for my mess. I have a total of 17,052 stitches out of 665,334 stitches. I am at 2.56%. So this is the page that I'm on. And I'm probably just going to be well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably just be working on black because like that's the page that I'm working on. So excuse me. Still feel like crap. I'll be, I don't know, pay attention to where that is because it's just going to come down here. So this is being stitched on 28 count fabric as well, 1/1 full cross. And yeah, we'll see where I get. I don't know how much I'm stitching today. I really ought to try and get some work done, but man, I'm feeling rough. So, okay. Yeah, I'll see where I get. Oh, okay, I did a few stitches. I ended up taking a stitchy day. I got my house chores done, and then I was just wiped. I've been having some trouble breathing, so I've had to break out the inhaler, and I have not had any energy to do anything but sit and stitch. So I did 1,371 stitches today. And it was very satisfying. There was a I don't know if you remember that break, that one weird line that came out. I had exactly enough thread to come from this side into the middle and meet up. Sadly, this, you will not really be able to see anything. I don't know. It comes through in my camera a little bit, but there's like sort of a purpley hue. That is 939 that's in there, I think. Maybe 823, one of those two. There's some blobs like this that's going to be like here and here and here. But for the most part, that's just going to get filled in with that 939 or 823, whichever it is. So I'm super, super happy with this progress, but I am hoping I feel better tomorrow to be able to get some other stuff done. Not only around the house, but work-wise. So, yeah, we are now at 2.77% complete for 18,423 stitches. I'm hoping once I get this filled in as well that you're not going to be able to see, like I see this really harsh line right here, but I don't know if that's because of how the break in the pages is, or if that's actually going to be a line, which is, I've started feathering here. Obviously, that's a line. This was still kind of a learner project when I first started it, so. All right, I think that is all I have to say about that. And we'll go ahead and load up tomorrow's project. If I have even stitched tomorrow, it really just depends. I'm sure I will, with still feeling kind of, a lot of times I only have enough energy to do so much, and then yeah, I'll end up stitching for the evening or whatever. I don't remember what's next. Maybe Gypsy Firefly? I don't know. We'll find out in a second. Okay, I was right. It was Gypsy Firefly that's up next, and this is the max color version, regular size. This is artwork by Amy Stewart. Pattern is by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I am stitching this on 18 count Aida, 2/1 full cross. And you won't be able to see the whole thing until Whip Parade season, but oops, wrong button. So far I have in it 14,527 stitches out of 283,500 for 5.12%. Here, I'll show you on Pattern Keeper where I'm at with it as far as there. That's the stitched part so far. So what you are seeing in the hoop is right here. So I think there's a few unstitched bits in here, and I think, excuse me, I will start coming down and just sort of working in a diagonal again, because it does sort of follow where that caravan is. So yeah, I'll just see where that takes me. So this one does tend to kind of hurt my fingers to stitch for too long at a time. I think it's just the nature of that fabric. The 18 count 2/1 just ends up being pretty thick. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully you'll be able to see a difference. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I recorded this clip last night, but it sounded like really pathetic even to my ears. I sent it to Jen, and we both had a good laugh about my whining. Excuse me. So I got 715 stitches in on this piece, and I got to fill in on one whole diagonal here, at least in this section coming down here. And then I started in on another one that's part of where this is getting filled in. And I am now at, I forgot to unlock my tablet. I am now at a total of 15,242 for 5.38%. And it didn't look like a whole lot, but I'm actually really happy with where I got to on this one. So I'm getting ready to start Saki Dragon. So I will pull that up and take a look and see what we're going to be working on there. And here he is, Saki Dragon. This is a piece of artwork by Stanley Morrison, obviously, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And I started this one way back when for Darren was doing a, from Dizzy Stitcher, he was doing a stitch along with his Blackberry Dragon, and well, I know both of us have not gotten a ton of work in. I know his is coming out to play again. I'm excited to see it because he's working on the face and it looks really good. And so far I have, there we go. I'm doing this on a 28 count even weave. It might be a Monaco. I don't remember exactly what it is. I've got 3,163 stitches out of 118,800 for 2.66%. And I'm just going to continue starting to fill in more of this diagonal. It's kind of slow going because of how much gets filled in at once. And even though I choose threads from the diagonal going this way, but I stitch down for the most part. So if I start over here and it goes out here, that's where my thread goes. So it does take a while to fill in diagonals sometimes, but obviously dragon's head here, so getting close-ish. I mean, it's going to be a while before we see a lot of really good, interesting things, but I'm excited for this one. I think I am still taking today off for being sick, but I am feeling a little bit better. The coughing is worse, but my head is feeling a little bit better in general. So I had a headache for basically 3 days, and that's finally gotten to the point where I did not have to take Tylenol this morning. So improvements. All right, see where I get for this one and see you in a sec. And I stopped at 898 stitches. I could not pull 2 more stitches out of myself last night to get an even 900. I stopped. That's when my head stopped. I'm really happy with how much it's filled in through here. It's still quite a ways from the dragon, but that's okay. He'll get his work when he gets his work. I don't remember if I mentioned in the opening clip, this is 1/1 full cross. I tend to forget that part. So we have 4,061 stitches for a total of 3.42% so far. It is Tuesday. I just got my next round robin piece in the mail, so I'm probably going to go ahead and work on that tonight. So, and then tomorrow is supposed to be recording day. So this may be the last part of the clip, or the last of the stitching clips. I'm feeling better. I'm not 100%, but I am feeling a little better. I actually worked today, so it was good. So I think with that being said, this will end the stitching, and then we'll go into Monopoly. I'll show you my little board where I'm at with that. Just cause. All right, so there's my board. Let's see. The 4 Monopoly pieces obviously got more than what they were slated for, which is kind of always my goal. And I spent quite a bit of time. I spent entire days on my focus pieces. Veil Nebula got a ton simply because it was all 310 in a very small space, so you know, obviously you saw that. I did start on the next mystery piece with my round robin. I didn't count. I know I've got a few hundred stitches in, so that's the week's total for 5,015, and largely due to just being sick. I just worked on stuff. So yeah, as you can see, Temp Potions is next. So what I'll do is I'll write the next group of projects down, and then those will all just get erased, and that will move up, and might, depending on how many pieces get pulled for Monopoly, will kind of determine how many I just write in and see how many I get worked on. So back to work this week. I'm not sounding great, but I am feeling better than I was. So back to work this week. Okay, welcome to round 8.2. We are starting off with the air token and going from there depending on how we do. So as a reminder, we are in a global event, so I'm at ludicrous speed. I have an extra die to roll. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay. So we have an investment up, which I just realized I forgot my tablet. I'll be right back. Okay, air does not have an investment, so that does not count for anything. We have a bonus move, and we are moving 13 spaces. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have Andrew Young International Boulevard for 240. Okay, and then for the bonus move, we are moving just next door to Decatur Street for 240. So we got that one now. Okay, and that actually concludes air's turn. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to fire. There he is. Right here. Oh, let me turn that. There we go. So we'll go ahead and roll for fire and see where we get with that. Probably, like I said, I'm going to stop at 2 no matter what, and go from there. Okay, so, oh my goodness, we're going to be going far. So 14, 15, 16, 17 total, plus a bonus move. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, 4. Because odd roll is just straight through. Where'd I start at? Oh, hell's bells. We were down here, weren't we? Yep. Let me reference and see if I bumped him. Hang on. Yep, I sure did. Okay, so we're starting from down here. And 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. London Bridge is falling down. As you pass, cross on rolls of 9 or more. Stay on rolls of 7 or less. Choose on rolls of exactly 8. Okay, so I have 14, so cross on rolls of 9 or more. So we are crossing back over to the main board, or the first board, I should say. And let me find London Bridge. And then I need to double count and see how was that. I landed straight on, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Landed straight on, so I don't know if I don't remember if I actually have a piece for if I land directly on London Bridge. So let me double check. Oh, I did not. So let me ponder what we're going to do about London Bridge as far as when I land on it and don't do anything, because that seems,
I might have to add, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a spot on my new starts, and we're going to draw for that, and we'll just make it an even 500. So, okay, let me make a note of that. London Bridge. 500. Yeah, so just in case I land and sit, that's we'll have something to do. Okay, now I've got my extra finger. Da, 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 da. One normal die. Okay. And 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is Delancey Street for 390. I need to get my other property cards and pull that one. And that actually concludes the fire's movements too. So I think we will call that one round of Monopoly under our belts. Right, this is the first board. Dang it, I had the right one out. Oh. Okay. So we have a total of 480 for air and 890 for fire. So I think that's a really good spot to stop at. So let me get all this stuff put away. Once I get that done, I will have to go get my kiddo, and then I will finish recording after I get him settled. Okay, it's been a little bit since I finished that last clip. So I have everything pulled for the 4 projects for Monopoly, and they're all 4 of them are new starts. All 4 of them are off of a PDF. So let's see if I can find them relatively quickly. I'm not going to bother pulling out the fabric at this point. You'll see that when for next week's video I'll go over all those details. So this first one is Hot Air Balloon. This one is from Total Cross Stitch, and I have seen the owner of the shop, Sarah, she actually started this one, and it looks beautiful. So it is this piece here, and it will be a hot minute before I get down to that balloon, but isn't that gorgeous? I love the colors in this piece. It's not super big. 250 by 350. It's not small, but it's not super huge either. So that will be a new start for 240 stitches on the minimum. And then Black Unicorn is the next one for Monopoly. This is a piece by Pain Free Crafts. Artwork is by Ann Stokes. These are all going to be upper left-hand corner starts, folks, so there's not going to be a whole lot to see. I really love this piece. This is one of the first Pain Free Crafts pieces I purchased. And then another one is from Cross Stitch for Everyone. This is a relatively recent purchase. No, it's been a hot minute. It just feels like it. But this is Morning Glow. It'll be a little bit different color palette from, sorry for the glare, what I have been working on. Saki Dragon has some browns in it, but beautiful piece. And last but not least is the only one that I have from Carolyn Manning, which is Arctic Blast. This was a freebie on her page, but I love the colors. Or Facebook page. I don't remember if it was her Facebook page or her website, but pretty sure it's her Facebook page. But That one, I'm really looking forward to that one. That one will be fun. And then whatever else I may or may not get to as far as focus pieces. So there is that. Let me show you what I managed to snag, because now the first one that I got, this was my fault. These are both eBay purchases, and I was not paying attention to the fact that this is on. Okay, let me start from here. This is a Dimensions kit. It is cross stitch, and I love pansies, and I just thought this was pretty cute. But I did not read enough to figure out that it is one of their no count cross stitches. So it's not full coverage. The back is printed, and it's cross stitched, but it's printed like it's a needlepoint, which I'm not a huge fan of needlepoint to begin with, because it doesn't tell me exactly where to put stuff. So I will have to, luckily, I mean, it's still just look on the fabric and just stitch where outlines are. There's not exactly, I don't think it technically calls for fractionals, but it's going to happen. So I'm not disappointed in it, because I do love the picture, but it's definitely going to be one of those where it's going to be a mental exertion to do it. Now, this next one, you will know if you watched Jen, the Caffeinated Crafter, because she is stitching this. But I have been looking for this since before I started my Flosstube, because I saw Amy from Creativity by Gidge. This was her piece, and she was one of the first Flosstubers I watched. And I picked it up on eBay for about half of what I had been seeing it go for. And it was funny because the woman that I won the auction from lives 5 minutes from me. So she messaged me and she was like, do you just want to meet up and save yourself like almost $10 in shipping? I was like, yes, please. So Magnificent Wizard, I am very, very stoked to have myself a copy of this. Both of those pieces are now on the new start wheel for when I need to replace things. And I think I actually need to add some stuff, because I don't think all of my little new pile starts are like my Gecko Rouge kit. I don't think it's on that wheel. I'll have to double check. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've acquired. I'm not planning on making any more purchases in the near future. Let's see. So other than that, I do need to keep working on my round robin. So we'll have at least another evening per week because we've got about a month before we need about 3 weeks before we need to send off the next round. So I'll just work on it like once a month for now. So that's part of the plans as well. I think that does it as far as stitching goes. There's not really much else to talk about as far as that goes. So this week was kind of interesting, other than being sick. So we had the last of the adult children moved out this week, which I'm very relieved about. Children at some point need to be a fly on their own, and it was time for this one to fly. So I wish the best for him, and I hope he does well. He just needs to do well out there on his own. So we have kind of some shifting within the household as far as that goes. I have some mental shifting too for like cooking and planning meals and things. Like tonight, it's just me and the little guy because the husband's at work, and my middle son is off on a field trip, and he's only here every other week anyways. So, and then the other thing, man, it rained Oh, it rained. I don't know if you're not in the U.S., you may not have. Well, even if you are in the U.S., you may not have heard. But there was a lot of rain, a lot of rain, a lot of flooding, and uh, our property was no exception. Now our house sits up on a hill. We have a creek at the bottom of the property, basically, like the basin of the property at the lowest point. And typically speaking, even when it floods, we don't have to worry about it. Well, come to find out that when it hits a certain point of flooding, we absolutely have to worry about it because the house springs a leak. And our basement is finished, and luckily the spot where the leak was is where we have a wood burning stove outside. Those pipes, what happens is it's a boiler. It's a wood fired boiler. So pipes from the outside pump hot water from the stove into the house, and then that heats up. We have a furnace, like a blown air furnace, but the hot water is what heats the furnace. There's some magic that happens in the background for that. Well, the conduit where the pipes run from the stove into the house, we're pretty sure the conduit has a crack in it because there was water just pouring in from that hole. Now, it wasn't awful. It filled up about a gallon every 15 minutes at its peak. So luckily when the rain stopped, that stopped. I actually took a little video of it towards the tail end once the panicking had stopped. But luckily it had, where the pipes come in is tiled underneath. Well, it's actually concrete in the closet where it is. And yeah, there's another pipe that the leaking is from around the outside, but it could have been a lot worse. I don't think we really need to stress about digging up it might happen this summer, but we don't have to stress about we have to dig up the yard to get to the pipe, and it'll be okay. We just have to be mindful of it. But the creek, oh my word. I took a video. I will let this speak for itself because we've been here for 7 years now, and I have never seen the creek that flooded. My father-in-law said that he's only seen it one other time, about worse than that. So yeah, I'll throw in a video here in case anybody is interested. I know that I even say it in the video. There are other places that got so much worse flooding, but this is what my experience was, and just the amount of water was insane just in our little tiny area, neck of the woods. So I'll stick the video in here and you can kind of see for yourself what I'm talking about. Well, our basement sprung a leak. It's definitely connected to the rain. Well, I mean, obviously, duh, but the ground is just so saturated that this pipe right here has a leak around the outside of it. So that's what that is. This pipe here, sorry for the white blinding glare, the water is actually coming from inside of it. So we think the drain tile has a crack in it somewhere. But it was pouring about a gallon every 15 minutes. So we've got this rigged up because it's supposed to start raining again in 6 hours. Hopefully that will hold it till we at least wake up. That's a 5-gallon bucket, or at least, we can wake up to the rain. Look out, kitty. Let me give you a little tour, because I won't be able to do this tomorrow because it's going to be raining as soon as the sun comes up. So sorry for the poor quality. But give you an idea of where. And I mean, I know a ton of people have it way, way worse than we do. So there's our woodshed. And then there's kind of a little divot that comes down here. This part is usually dry. I gotta watch where I'm walking.
That is very full. And that goes into our pond. Where my spotlight is right now, that is usually an island. Those are willow trees that are completely, like, there's no land left. Apparently there's a new stream here that's not usually there. And the socks are getting wet. Okay. So that's the bank. There's a right smack dab in the center of the spot is where the drain is. Just behind that, see the line, and then you see more water. That's where the bank has broken right there. And then of course the bank has actually broken right by the drain too. So now that's usually yard. Bear with me, I gotta move perspectives again. Okay, so that's usually just a really small drain, culvert into the creek. Those are not usually underwater. We are losing trees along the bank too. We were standing out here a few minutes ago and we could hear them coming down, and then a minute or so later we would see the tree just floating along. We usually cannot see the creek from the yard here. Like, it's usually down enough that you cannot see it standing here. This is our driveway, and the creek runs right along here. Now, my father-in-law has said he's only seen the creek hit the driveway once since he's moved here, since he's lived here for 15? No, it's been longer than 25 years he's been here, I think. This does tend to drain pretty quickly, but we only have about 6 hours until it starts like heavy thunderstorming, at least predicted to do that again. So I wouldn't be surprised if my husband has a hard time getting home tomorrow, because our driveway, like, I don't know if you can see it, it looks like just a puddle. That's actually like a stream going across the driveway. That's where it will flood. And he said if that's the case, that's the storm that just left. If that's the case, he won't drive over this because he won't really be able to tell where the driveway is and where the creek begins. And yeah, we're not having him swept out, because that's at least 6 foot deep right now. So that's the fun times we're having right now. So I thought I'd come back. I mean, it's during the day, obviously, but thought I'd come back and show you a little bit more of kind of the impact that night had. So this is about normal level for the creek when it's, not crazy running, flooding. And so that's normal flood line right about here. What we had was up here. So, like, that root system, you can't really see the roots from here, I think, but that root system is now exposed, and this tree is probably, we're probably going to lose that tree in the next couple of years. Same with this one. These are actually leaning a lot more than they were. And the water was out here. So it was actually running through here and then kind of back that way. So it was high. It was high. Like, the water was out here, surrounded this tree, and then all of that was underwater. So yeah, we had quite quite a lot of water coming through here. So it's back down to its usual peaceful self. We have
a ton of trees down on the property. We're not going to have to chop anything for next winter. Honestly, for probably the foreseeable future, we will not have to actually. I mean, since we've lived here, we haven't had to actually chop anything down for firewood. It's always been stuff that has fallen, but yeah. That, I'm glad it's back to normal for now. Okay, I thought I'd come and stand relatively close to the spot that I was at that night when I filmed. So there's our pond. It has gone down significantly down to where the grate is. But you can see, like, this was all water coming out of the pond. The water was down out through here around those trees. And like I said, you can't even see the water from here. So, yeah, that gives you hopefully a little bit more of an idea of just how much water. And the places that are like on a literal river floodplain, man, my heart goes out to a lot of those people. So, okay, that's it. So yeah, now it's drying out and the sun is out today. It was gorgeous. I'm so ready for spring. I'm always ready for spring after like a month of winter. So I think that's where I will leave it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and that you will come back next week and see where I've gotten to at that point. So thank you again. Take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.